Hi, Spicewood kiddos, it's Miss Rayborn here. So I have gathered together my supplies that I'm gonna need for today. I need one of the big pieces of black paper from your supply kit that you picked up. I also need one of the big pieces of white paper that I picked up from my supply kit. This white paper could be a smaller one. If you don't happen to have one, you could try that instead. So I'm gonna take my big piece of black paper and I'm gonna put it off to the side someplace safe because I don't need it yet. Because I'm gonna start by making the skull part of my sugar skull. Now we want it to be symmetrical, meaning we want it to be the same on both sides. So we're gonna fold our piece of paper. And Miss Rayborn is folding my paper in half. I'm putting my corner to my corner here, my corner to my corner here, and then pushing down to fold it in half. The reason this is gonna be really helpful is that instead of having to draw a whole shape of my sugar skull, for example, having to draw the whole thing like this and managing to make it the same on both sides, that would be tricky. I only have to draw half, okay? So I folded my piece of paper in half, and then I'm going to take a pencil and I'm gonna draw half of the shape of the skull. I'm gonna try pretty hard to make it almost as big as this piece of paper, and I'm drawing on the side with the fold. Not the open side, but the side with the fold. So half of the part of the top part of the skull coming down like this. And then here's the jaw part coming out like this, okay? So again, this is the top part of the skull, and I'm wondering if I should make it just a little bit wider. And then this part coming down is the part that is gonna be the jaw or the bottom part, okay? Now, I don't have to erase this because I'm gonna glue it down anyway, but I'm gonna kind of look and see about how big is that gonna be. About twice that. I think I'm gonna be happy with that. So now I'm ready to start cutting. It's super important, kiddos, that you are on the side with the fold. Do you see how this is the fold side, not the open side? If you cut on the side of the open side, you're just gonna end up with two pieces, two halves, and we want it to unfold to one whole. So just double check before you begin to cut that you are on the side with the fold. Can you see the fold is here? And I only had to draw half of it. Not the whole thing, just half, because I folded my paper. So I'm gonna start to cut, and when we start to cut, I'm gonna make it just a little bit bigger than I actually drew it, because I don't want it to be too small. So I'm gonna go down to here and around like this. Now, when I open it up, I should have something that is symmetrical, the shape of my skull, and it should be symmetrical. Now, when I'm ready to glue it down on my paper, on my black background paper, I get to decide, do I want my paper to go this direction, side to side, like this, okay, and I would have spaces on the sides, or do I want my paper to be tall and skinny and it to go this direction? Either way is just fine. It's completely and totally up to you which way you would like to choose. Miss Rayborn thinks that because of how I can show you in the video, I'm gonna turn my paper side to side like this so that you can see most of it. So that's what I'm gonna pick for my project, because I want you to be able to see. So I'm gonna glue down, and I'm gonna make sure I put my glue on the side with the pencil lines because I don't wanna see those. And I'm using a liquid glue, but you could also use a glue stick. Either one is just fine. When you're using liquid glue, remember, dot, dot, not a lot. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I put 7 on the whole thing. So dot, dot, not a lot. Then I'll flip it over, and I'm gonna try to get it in the middle of the paper because we're still working on symmetry. We're trying our best with our symmetry. So I'm gonna glue it down on the middle of the paper here. Okay, and I pushed down, kind of held. Sometimes Miss Rayborn, you'll hear me count, push down and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just to make sure it's not gonna come off, okay? Now I get to make some corner designs for here, 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 and here with my white paper before I am done for today with my job. Now I want my 4 corner designs to be exactly the same. Right now, if I cut them, I would have how many? 2, right? Because I folded my paper 1 time. If I cut a whole thing out, I would get 2 of them. But I need how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm actually gonna fold my paper 1 more time. I'm gonna put that paper off to the side, and I'm gonna fold this time corner to corner. I'm gonna line them up together and then smooth it flat. And I think I'm gonna make a plan with a pencil of what I want my pattern and my design to look like. So I'm gonna draw it out with a pencil first. You do not have to do that, but you can if you want to. So Miss Rayborn is thinking I might have kind of a corner edge like this, and then maybe a shape that comes out. I'm trying my best to make it about the same size on each side. My triangle shape coming out about the same size. I don't have to worry about the fact that I made a little oops there because I can just glue that part down. So this is the shape I cut for my corners. Now, when I start to cut, just like before, I need to cut away from myself. You're cutting all 4 open-ended corners, so I would put your hand right here to hold it in place. And then I'm always turning my paper, right? This is a little bit difficult, but I'm always turning my paper and I'm holding my pieces to make sure that they're staying together because there's 4 different pieces in there right now. Now, if I wanted a little special kind of a shape inside of here, one of my favorite things to do, and this can be a little bit tricky, is I can fold my paper 1 more time, just like this, and I can cut a shape out of the center of that. And I'm gonna hold on to these extra little shapes because sometimes they're like little treasures. So I made myself this little corner shape. If I wanted it to be extra fancy, I could cut some little shapes out of the side right here. I could cut one, see how it's getting hard to keep them together. I could cut a little fancy notch shape over here as well. Could even cut the edge here if I don't want it to be exactly like a corner. Now, if I've done a good job and I've held them together, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So now I'm ready to get my piece of paper and glue down my 4 corners. Now I want them to be symmetrical. So if I want my corner to be like this in this side, okay, I can't glue this one down like this, right? That's not the same on both sides. On this side, the little triangle point is pointing in and downwards. So I have to kind of turn, no, oh, that's the direction. But look at that, you can see the pencil line. So instead, I'm gonna use it in another place because I don't want to see that on my piece of paper when I glue it down. So far I've got triangle pointing in and down, and then on the other side it'll be triangle pointing up and in. So does it go here? Oh, no, that's not right. Does it go like this? No, that's still not right. I want my triangle pointing up and in. It goes like that. Okay, now that I've checked to make sure that they are all symmetrical, I can go ahead and glue them down. Again, dot, dot, not a lot. Oh, I forgot to reopen my glue. I just put 3 little dots on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 right there in the corner. And I'm gonna work to get them about the same distance in each corner. So dot, dot, not a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4 little dots. Put it into my corner. I've left a little bit of space there. 1, 2, 3, 4 little dots. I also could be using a glue stick, no problem. If you've got a glue stick will work great too. And this is my last corner. 1, 2, 3, 4 little dots. And I'm gonna get it into my corner, press and hold, and make sure they're stuck down. So right now, I've got my sugar skull shape in the center. I've got 4 corner designs. Do you see how I have this big open space right here that is very empty? I also still have, look at this, a whole bunch of paper left, okay? Now, when I was doing some cutting, I worked hard to save some of the little shapes that I had cut. For example, inside of here, look at that, there were these 4 little triangle, they're almost kind of like a diamond or a kite shape. So I could, if I wanted to, put one here, one here. I could go over here and put one here and one here. I think I'm gonna wait until I've done some more cutting to decide where I'm gonna put them, but I'm saving these. They're kind of like little treasures. I also can look at my piece of paper because sometimes the things that I've already cut are really beautiful. Look how I've already made this kind of a pattern here. So I think what I'm gonna do, instead of cutting an entirely new shape, is I'm gonna cut along the edge of this. I'm gonna make another shape kind of like the one I already made because I'm just following my line along. I made a little treasure here without even realizing it. And do you see how I'm holding all 4 pieces of paper? I'm doing that because if I let go, they won't be the same, right? So let's look. I trimmed along the edge, right? And let's see, how many did I end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I might not need 4 because I think what I want is 1 to go here and 1 to go here, like this. Now, I could look around and see, is there another place? Could I put like this and like this? Could even be going off the page a little bit. That's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. Possibly. I think I'm gonna save these for something else. And I'm gonna do just these 2 pieces right there, okay? So I've checked to make sure that they are symmetrical, right? This one looks the same as this one. This top part is a little bit thicker than the bottom one, right? Like, look, does that look the same? No, the thicker part is on the top and I need to flip it. So check for yourself before you glue. It's always important to check before you glue. So Miss Rayborn is going to 1, 2, 3, 4, dot, dot, not a lot, right? And I'm doing my best to make them even, about the same distance away from the skull as well. There's not a big space over here and a small space on the other side. I can even kind of measure if I want to with my finger. It's about a finger apart, like that. Now, I still have a couple of little spots right here, and I still have some paper that I can work with and cut. You'll start to notice that your paper is making all kinds of really interesting shapes all by itself. I think I might want, I don't think I want these 4 things to be the same. I think I want 2 things for here, 2 things for here. And I think I want a couple of hearts to go here and here. And I already had my paper folded in half, so I only have to cut 1/2 of the heart, right? Because the paper was folded in half, and I got 2. Now these look like they might be a little too big to go there, right? So actually I'm gonna end up putting them here because they didn't fit. Or I could turn them on their sides. I think I'm gonna turn them kind of like this. But before I glue them down, I'm gonna go ahead and make a decision about what goes up here because I wanna make sure I'm happy with it before I glue it down. So I might just cut for myself. I'm gonna trim a little extra piece of paper here. And I have 2 pieces of paper at the same time because I need 2 of them. The paper is folded, right? I think I might just make kind of an oval shape there with a cut out of it. So I'm holding my two pieces of paper together because I'm cutting at the same time. And I cut my two pieces. Let's see, is that gonna be, it looks like it's a little bit too big to fit in that space really nicely. So I'm gonna trim it a little bit smaller all the way around like that. I'm gonna double check. Oh, yep, that looks like a much better shape. And then I wanted to cut a shape out of it. So I'm gonna fold it. I'm gonna cut kind of a little rectangle shape out of the center of it so that when I open up, it'll be the same. And I had my paper folded, so I have two. Okay, now I'm sort of checking for symmetry before I glue. I haven't glued down these little diamond guys yet. I still have these to take care of, or I could decide to put them somewhere else. I think I actually like the idea of there being more of them kind of up at the top, like two on this side and two on this side, I think is what I'm liking right now. So now I'm ready to just continue to get the rest of this space filled up. Because I moved those diamonds around, I have a little extra space down here. So I would need to cut another piece from my piece of white paper that's going to go into that space. And I'm going to finish getting all of my gluing done. Dot, dot, not a lot. Now, notice Miss Rayborn did not add any colors today. I did not add any patterns today. I did not add any line designs. I didn't add any details at all. Today, what I really want you to focus on is just the symmetry cutting with the white paper on the black paper. So today, we're not adding any patterns with markers or crayons. We're not drawing any patterns with pencils or things like that. In our next art week together, we're gonna work on this exact sugar skull. We're gonna take it right back out, and I'm gonna teach you some tips and tricks of how you can make symmetrical designs and patterns on your sugar skulls for the patterns and details that we've had a chance to look at and learn about. So at the end of your lesson for today, you will have your black piece of paper with your white empty skull on it, right? Nothing on it right now. You'll have your 4 corner designs, and then you'll have some cut white paper designs that are filling the back space. I still need a spot for right here and right here. But that's all you're going to do for today. You're not gonna worry. I'm checking to see if that fits. I kind of like the way that fits, and I think I'm gonna fold to cut something out of the center of it again as well. Maybe a diamond kind of a shape this time. So I've got one that goes right here. Do I like it like that? Yeah, and one that goes right there. And I think I'm gonna glue down those last 2 things, and then I'm going to be done with cutting and gluing for today, okay? So, quick reminders, dot, dot, not a lot. Check for your symmetry before you glue. It's super important that you make sure that you're checking for symmetry before you glue. And last reminder, today, we're not adding any patterns or details at all. We're just working on the simple parts and pieces being glued down on the paper, the white paper, pardon me, onto the black paper. And when we get together and again next week, we'll pick up right here and we'll talk about tips and tricks for adding patterns and details. Okay, so when you've filled your space, you are good to go until next week. As always, there is a little enrichment activity if you want a little bit more art time, but put this off to the side, someplace safe for it to dry, and we will start on patterns and details next week. Bye for now.